Wednesday and Thursday. Don't miss Wednesday and Thursday. I am looking to it. I don't know what it is. I just like you, I'm sitting and I heard the introduction tonight, and I'm looking forward to what God is going to say through his servant, woman of God, First Lady Nicole Richards. Before I get into the second part of the kingdom study, I just want to ask a quick question. During what First Lady was sharing there, she shared something that I spoke about a couple times before, and I want to see if people remember. It's called the Messianic Secret. Did anybody identify the Messianic secret in what First Lady was sharing there? Just very quickly. Do you remember what the Messianic secret is? And if you do remember, then you would have heard it tonight. So I'm asking the question, does anybody know, or did anybody recognize in there the Messianic secret? It sounds like a big thing, but yeah. Elder Gail, your hand is up. Let me hear you. Joshua, just make sure everyone can unmute, please.
It's Sister Kimlan hands up.
Sorry, Sister Kimlan. Why? Oh, I'm seeing it on the, I don't know why I'm seeing it on the Elder Gail. All right, Sister Kimlan.
It would be when his time was not yet to be told, and then the demons, when he told them to be silent.
Okay, he told them to be silent.
Because he was not yet supposed to be revealed as the Messiah. And they said, Jesus, the son of David.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to add to that? Anybody? The Messianic secret? We don't have much time. You all don't remember. You must remember these things. All right. So let me explain to you quickly what the Messianic secret is. What Sister Kilman said, but let me add to it so that it'll be a little more clear. There are certain times when Jesus healed and he cast out demons, and he would say, do not say who I am. Don't go and tell anybody what happened. And if it was a demon, he would shut up the demon so that they would not speak. He wanted to keep his identity as the Messiah a secret. That's why it's called the Messianic secret. He wanted to keep his identity as the Messiah a secret. And why is that? Because of something called the Messianic expectation. I'm going to ask this question maybe a month from today again, so you'll be able to answer it. The Messianic expectation. What is the Messianic expectation? The Jews, they expected the Messiah to come. It had been prophesied that the Messiah would come to deliver them. That's what the Messiah is. He's a deliverer. And they expected the Messiah to come to deliver them. But their expectation was a Messiah to come to deliver them physically from the Jews, to overthrow, sorry, not the Jews, the Romans, to overthrow the Roman Empire, to set up a kingdom for the Jews so they could be ruling. That's what they thought it was. So Jesus, knowing their expectation, didn't want to identify himself as a Messiah, because they would have wanted him to do just that. Set up his kingdom, overthrow the Romans and set up his kingdom. And that is not what he came to do, not a physical kingdom. He came to establish the kingdom of God, which was different. Righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Ghost. So whenever he healed the Jews, he would say, do not say anything. But when he healed somebody who was a Gentile, the Gentile did not have that expectation. They didn't know about the prophecy about the Messiah. So he wanted to show the Gentiles that, yeah, he was a great healer. He was the Son of God. So he tell them, go tell everyone what God has done for you. But when it was a Jew, he told them, don't tell anybody, because that would be trouble. They would have disrupted his ministry, because they would have wanted to crown him king and have him overthrow the Romans. So the Messianic secret was that he kept his identity as a Messiah a secret. And it was, you know, when he revealed it, when he came and rode into Jerusalem on a donkey on the day we call Palm Sunday, when they were waving palms, because it was also prophesied that your Messiah, the King, will come to you riding on a colt, you know, into Jerusalem. So that was his public declaration that he was the Messiah when he rode into Jerusalem on the donkey. But before that, he did not want them to know anything. So he said, keep it a secret, keep it a secret, all right? So I just wanted to share that as Pastor Nicole had shared tonight. And I said, I wonder if anybody identified the Messianic secret there. Okay, so next time I ask that question, I trust that everybody will be putting up their hands and saying, yes, I know, I know. So let's continue tonight. Let me just say good evening to all of you. If you're new, we welcome you to Live Right Ministries, and it's a Live Right family, and we are glad to have you, and we trust that you would not just come for tonight, but that you would return. Please share the link with any and everybody, the Zoom link, as well as the YouTube link, you know, direct them to YouTube under Live Right Ministries. So we have been looking at 2 Timothy chapter 3. Oh, by the way, let me just say one thing. That verse Pastor Nicole was talking about with everybody knowing God for themselves is found in Hebrews. And I don't remember exactly when Hebrews, we call it right at the moment, when it says that every man will know God for himself. Nobody will be saying, know the Lord your God, for they shall all know me. This is what he said. So we are looking at 2 Timothy chapter 3, and it talks about the last days. Perilous times shall come, men shall be lovers of their own self, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent. That's where we reach. Incontinent. And we saw incontinent means that you're lacking control. You lack self-control. You can't control yourself. You know, you're just quick to speak, you're quick to act, you're quick to do everything. That's incontinent. And we started looking at this thing called anger. And we looked and we were speaking about anger and what causes anger. We said one of the things is that God got angry. Even God got angry. We saw that Jesus got angry. So we saw that anger in itself is not a sin. Anger itself is not a sin. And we have got to understand that all of us get angry. Every one of us get angry. And the last thing we talked about was about listening. You know, if you listen carefully, then, you know, one of the things is that you will not get angry, but we get angry sometimes because we don't listen. And then when someone is angry, because they're talking so much and they're shouting so much and we don't listen to them, but listening is important. Okay, so we want to continue tonight, and we want to look at the fact that anger, when you get angry, anger is really a secondary emotion. A secondary emotion. What do I mean by a secondary emotion? You don't just feel anger just like that. Anger is fueled by something else. Something else happens, and you experience some other emotion. And because you experience that emotion, which is usually negative, you get angry. One of the things that causes anger, that fuels anger, is frustration. When you're frustrated, maybe you're trying something all the time and it's not working. You're trying to fix something and it's not fixing. You're talking to your children all the time and they're not hearing. And you feel frustrated because you have no control over the situation. It's like the last 2 years with COVID. A lot of people got angry. There was a lot of abuse, domestic violence and abuse, because people felt restricted. They couldn't go out. There was a lockdown and people were angry. And we saw that even coming out of COVID, where there was a lot of school children fighting because of the restriction. They built up that anger in them. And they were communicating virtually. And because they couldn't be in the same space, and they get angry with somebody because somebody said something, when they came out, that anger was unleashed. So you had a lot of fighting in schools because of frustration. Another thing that causes anger is shame and embarrassment. When somebody embarrasses you, somebody tells you something and you feel like you just want to go into the ground, but you get angry. How could they do that? How could they slap you in the face? How could they say that? How could somebody do something and they embarrass you? Do you know that is why they wanted to kill Jesus? Because he was constantly embarrassing them. He was showing them up. He was doing things that they had no answer for, like you just heard tonight, healing on the Sabbath. And they could not, they tried to corner him a lot of time by telling him certain things and asking him certain questions, and he always got out of it. And they were angry because he was shaming them. And remember, I told you before, the Jewish culture was characterized by honor and shame. Everything they did either brought them honor or brought them shame. And Jesus was constantly shaming them. Hey, Jesus, should we pay taxes? And he says, so whose face is on the coin? Caesar. Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar, but unto God the things that are God. They were embarrassed. He shamed them. Hey, Jesus, this woman, we caught this woman in adultery, and the law of Moses said to stone her. He that is without sin cast the first stone. And one by one they went away. They were embarrassed. He was always embarrassing them. And so they said, nah, we got to get rid of this man. So anger is also called by shame and embarrassment. Another reason that people get angry, or what fuels anger, is found in Genesis chapter 4, verses 4 to 8. Let's look at that one. Genesis chapter 4, verses 4 to 8, and 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 5 to 9. 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 5 to 9, and Genesis 4, verses 4 to 8. Genesis chapter 4, verses 4 to 8, 1 Samuel 18, 5 to 9. Who has those?
Dr. Richards, I will read Genesis 4, 4 to 8. No one took it as yet.
Go ahead.
Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. So the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? And why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. Now Cain talked with Abel, his brother.
Okay.
And it came.
Okay, sorry. Let's leave it there. Thank you. All right. So from these verses that you just read, what caused Cain to be angry? What caused Cain to be angry? Anybody?
Oh, okay. Oh, you want me to? Okay, I'll leave it for someone else to answer.
No, you could answer it. Go ahead.
The idea that the Lord respected Abel's offering and not his own.
All right. God respected his Abel's offering and not his own, and that caused him to be, is the word I'm looking for. How did he feel?
Angry. Brother Sheldon, hand is up. Brother Sheldon.
Yeah, Brother Sheldon.
Disrespected.
Disrespected. Oh yeah, he might have felt that, but I think there was something else that he felt.
Envy. Envy
is not the word.
Jealous.
Embarrassed.
That's that's the word I'm looking for. Somebody said it just now.
Jealousy.
Embarrassed.
Jealousy. He was jealous. Jealousy fueled his anger. He was angry because God accepted. Now, jealousy is when something that belongs to you is given to somebody else. So he felt he was entitled to that too. And God didn't accept his offering. So he was jealous of his brother. And his anger was fueled by his jealousy of his brother. And we all know what happened. Let's look at 1 Samuel 18, verses 5 to 9.
Good night, everyone. I'm reading 1 Samuel 18, 5 to 9.
Mhm.
And David went out with whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. And it came to pass, as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the woman came out of all city of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet King Saul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the woman answered one another as they played, and said, Saul had slain his thousands, and David his 10,000. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000, and to me they have ascribed but 1,000. And what can he have more than the kingdom?
Okay, all right, thank you. So Saul was very wroth, he was very angry, and the saying displeased him. For the same reason, people were praising up David. They were lifting him up. They were singing songs that elevated David and kind of kept him down. So Saul felt jealous as well of David. He was jealous of what was happening in his own kingdom. Yeah, he would have felt disrespected too. But I wanted to highlight jealousy. Jealousy fuels anger. When you start to feel jealous, when you start, and so that's why we have to be careful. Jealousy, and let me add envy as well. When somebody has something that you want, you envy them. And this is what happens. We have to be careful, because these are the things that lead to anger. And we've got to be careful. So if we have to deal with our anger, we have to understand what fuels the anger. So we talk about frustration, shame and embarrassment, jealousy. It fuels anger. It's like a match. It's like throwing gasoline or kerosene on something. It causes your anger to flare up. So be careful of these things. Let's look at Genesis 37:5. We're just reading this one verse.
Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more.
And they hated him all more. And we know the story. So what caused them to be angry with him? Or get angry? Is because they hated him. They hated him because of what he had said to them. They hated him because he was elevating himself above them. And that is what fueled their anger. They hated. Hatred fuels anger. Hatred, when you start to hate people, you find yourself getting angry with them. When you hate people, you find yourself wanting to do them all sorts of things. Hatred is another thing that fuels anger. We're moving on quickly. Matthew 2:16. Anybody chose that one? Matthew 2:16.
We don't. Yes, Dr. I have the scriptures. Then Herod, when he saw that he was deceived by the wise men, was exceedingly angry, and he sent forth and put to death all the male children who were in Bethlehem, and in all its districts from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had determined from the wise men.
Thank you. So what made Herod angry? We're looking for a particular word here. I am looking for a particular word here. What made Herod angry? Anybody? He saw that he was
Fear.
Say again?
He was made mockery of. He was made mockery of.
He was made a mockery of. Okay,
Yes.
all right, yeah.
Okay.
What else?
Fear, fear,
Fear.
Deception.
Feared. Why fear? Let me hear. Why fear?
because he felt threatened.
He felt threatened.
Yeah.
Mm,
Remember, he was
that
a
no,
king and he was told
yeah,
that a
but
king.
yeah, but was that the thing that made him angry? Was it the fear that
Deception.
made him angry?
No, no.
Right,
They
right.
deceived him. They deceived him because he
The,
thought that they were coming back
The
and they did
deception.
not.
the deception,
Yes,
deception,
yes.
or the word I was looking for. Deception is correct. The word I was looking for is betrayal. Betrayal. He felt betrayed by these wise men, by these men who were supposed to come back. Okay? Yes, they deceived them, and deception, as I said, is correct. But he also felt betrayed by them because he had made a deal with them. Well, so to speak. He had said they had promised him. And so he was angry. And so when people deceive us or they betray us, we get angry. Now, we are identifying the things that cause anger because we need to look at our own lives and ourselves to see why we get angry and if we fit into any one of these categories. Herod felt these men betrayed him, and because of that, he was so angry, he decided he's going to kill out all these young children, 2 years old and under. Let's look at another one. Judges chapter 14, verses 18 to 20. Judges 14, 18 to 20.
Good night, everyone. So from the NLT, so before sunset of the seventh day, the men of the town came to Samson with their answer. What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? Samson replied, if you hadn't plowed my heifer, you wouldn't have solved my riddle. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. He went down to the town of Ashkelon, killed 30 men, took their belongings, and gave their clothing to the men who had solved his riddle. But Samson was furious about what had happened, and he went back home to live with his father and mother. So his wife was given in marriage to a man who had been Samson's best man at the wedding.
Amen. So we know this story. Well, I hope we know this story, that Samson was supposed to be married, and he had given the men a riddle. And, if they solved the riddle, he would give them clothes, change of clothes. All right. And so they went and they spoke to his wife to be. And because she had known the answer to the riddle, he had told her, of course, and they went and she told them what the riddle was. So when Samson asked them now, they came and they gave him the answer. And well, the answer is what is sweeter than honey and what is stronger than a lion. The riddle was what is sweeter than honey and what is sweeter than honey and what no. Something was sweeter and I don't remember it. It just gone blank. I'm so sorry. It just went blank. But anyway, it had to do with sweetness and strength. Okay. And the answer was honey and lion. Okay. And so I think he had killed a lion before. And when he passed back, there was bees in the lion's carcass, and he saw the honey there. And so the riddle came to mind and he gave them the riddle. Yeah. So they found out the answer to the riddle. And Samson now is angry. Samson is angry. And he said, if you had not plowed with my heifer, I want somebody to tell me, what did Samson mean by that? If you had not plowed with my heifer. Could somebody tell me what Samson meant? Put that into English, into Trini language. Nobody?
Harass my girlfriend.
Harass my girlfriend. Okay. Anybody else?
If he did not speak to someone who knew him inside out.
All right. If he did not speak to somebody, and more specifically, the woman he was going to get married to.
Yeah.
All right. In other words, if you didn't go to her, you would not have known. if you had not interfered with her, if you had not come through her, you would not have solved the riddle. And he was angry. He was angry. He was angry. So what fueled his anger? What fueled his anger? What would you say in this case fueled Samson's anger?
His wife deceit.
His wife's deceit. Was she really, did she really deceive him?
Well, the betrayal then, well, he gave her the answer as a secret, but she let it out.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Cheating.
Cheating. Interesting. Yes. Anyone else?
Deception, Dr. Richards.
Deception. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? What caused Samson to be so angry?
The cunningness
Can
of the opposition.
The cunningness of the opposition. I like that. Okay. Somebody else is going to say something.
Can I was going to say that how she was threatened by her people because she was not like Samson. She was, I think, a Philistine, being threatened by her people.
So you think that's what made
find
him
out the
angry?
riddle from Samson.
But you think that's what made him angry?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Well,
So
for me, yes.
Okay. So
I think, sorry, I think also the fact that they found out the riddle and he thought that he alone had the answer. And the fact that they knew about it and he had to give up all those things. I think that angered him.
All right. Very well. Anybody else? One more person?
Disappointment.
Disappointment. Yes.
Pride, Dr. Richards. Pride.
Pride. All these things. All these things. You see, when you, as Samson is this man, he's a strong man, physically strong, and he felt as though he was on top of the world. And not only was he physically strong, but he felt that this, this is something they will never find out. And he was angry because they found out, one, because they went to his wife. As Elder Gale said, the cunningness of the opposition, they were so smart that they found a way to find it, to find out. But more than that, Samson felt hurt because his wife or his wife-to-be would have done that. It's as though, you get married and your spouse betrays you, infidelity, she goes with somebody else. That causes men especially to be angry. When your wife, now it is easier, generally speaking, don't take me to task, it is generally easier for a woman to accept, again, I'm speaking generally, it is generally easier for a woman to accept infidelity in a marriage. Because they say, men we stray and we can't help ourselves. And, when in the world, they tell you, that's something that to be expected, man. Every man, there's 20 women to one man. And that's what the world says. And it has even filtered into Christianity too. And I guess maybe it's because of the way we are built. Men, it is difficult. It is challenging. It is almost unbearable for a man to think that his wife has gone with another man. When a woman betrays a man, it seems 10 times, again, people do not take me to task for this. I'm just speaking in general terms. All right, we know specifically that it's not always like this, but generally, this is how a man feels when he is betrayed by his companion, when he's betrayed by his wife or his spouse, or somebody promised to him, his girlfriend, his fiance, he finds out that she has been with someone else. It sends him crazy and he gets into a rage and fury. And this is what Samson experienced. He said, if you had not plowed in my heifer, if you had not interfered with my wife. So he was angry with them, and he would have been angry with her, so much so that he gave her to his best friend. He said, I don't want you again. I don't want you. I'm not going to get married again because you betrayed me. So these are some of the things that fuel anger. When you feel hurt, when you feel betrayed, when you feel that the person that you trust has come up against you and have sided with the opposition or someone else, or this a third party has been brought into the relationship, it gets you angry. That's what happened to Samson on that day. Let's move on. If there are no more questions or comments. In fact, let me ask, are there any questions or comments? We are looking at what are these things that fuel anger, that causes us to be angry. Okay, let's look at Daniel 3, 13 to 15. Daniel chapter 3, verses 13 to 15.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
Daniel 3, 13 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
Then Nebuchadnezzar, in rage and fury, gave the command to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spoke, saying to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the gold image which I have set up? Now, if you are ready at the time you heard the sound of the horn, flute, harp, lyre, and psaltery in symphony with all kinds of music, and you fall down and worship the image which I have made, good. But if you do not worship, you shall be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you from my hand?
Amen. Thank you. The verse started off as saying, then Nebuchadnezzar in rage and fury. Rage and fury. Now, generally they're the same thing, huh? But it's, I mean, just to give you an idea of how angry this man was, both words are used. Nebuchadnezzar in rage and fury, and we know the story. He had issued a decree. He had issued a decree that when they heard the sound of music, the different instruments, that everybody would to fall down and worship the image that had been of him, of Nebuchadnezzar, that because Nebuchadnezzar to the people was supposed to be a god. He saw himself as a god. And so they had issued this decree that when heard, it's like a horn going off. When they heard it, everybody was supposed to bow down and worship the image. But here these three little boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We don't know where Daniel was at that time, but they were together, these three were together, and they didn't do it. And they came to Nebuchadnezzar, his people, and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not bow down. They did not fall down. And he was angry. He was in rage and fury. So what would we say fueled his rage and his fury? Anybody?
His pride, Dr. Richards.
Pride, okay. Anything else? Anybody else?
The disobedience of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Disobedience of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All right. And the reason
In
why I
fact,
say no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Maybe we can lift hands and then we can call one by one because everybody's talking at the same time. So you lift
Okay.
your hand and I'll call your
Raise
name.
your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. There's another word I'm looking for. And I'm not saying that you're all wrong. You're correct so far. But there's another thing that I'm
Sister
looking
Hyacinth.
for. Sister Hyacinth.
I would say non-acceptance of his God.
Non-acceptance non-acceptance of his God. When you say non-acceptance of his God,
Well,
of
they
his
didn't.
God, remember it was him, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
He's the one. All right, okay.
It said, is it true that
Sister,
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that you do not serve my God or worship the golden image which I have set up?
All right, okay.
Sister Veronica.
Good night, everyone. He
Mhm.
wanted worship.
He wanted worship, okay. He wanted worship, and that caused him to be angry. All right, okay. Anyone else?
Sister Mitzi, Joshua, and Sheldon.
They disobeyed his authority.
Okay, disobeyed his authority. Okay, thank you. Joshua?
Dr. Judge, is it his arrogance?
His arrogance, okay. I think that's what your mother said was pride. Well, arrogance is more a negative kind of pride. Okay, thank you. Who's the next one? Sheldon?
Their outright defiance to his command.
Defiance to his command, yes. And you're all saying it, but it's word I'm looking for. There's a particular word I'm looking for, and then you crystallize it, but you didn't use the word. It's a very simple word. Anybody else?
Ronaldo.
Respect.
Ah, respect. I think you have it a little backwards. Try it again.
Oh, disrespect, sorry.
Disrespect. That's the word I'm looking for. Disrespect. They showed no respect for him. They disrespected him by disregarding him, by their outright defiance. They showed disrespect for this man. In other words, they diss him. You know, that's where the term dis coming from, right? They disrespected him. Now listen, he was the most powerful man in the world at that time because the Babylonians ruled the world. And here it is, he has issued a decree, or a decree was issued in his name. And everybody obeyed. And these three boys disobeyed, they defied, they disrespected him. That is what caused him to be in a rage and fury. And this is what fuels anger, especially in a man. When you disrespect a man, again, I'm speaking in general terms because women get angry for disrespect too. But I'm speaking, for the 3-4 men we have in this family chat tonight. I think I was looking earlier on. This is one of the things, especially as a man grows older. Respect is something that you hold dear to you. You want to be respected. You want to be heard because you are the head. And if you are the head, then you want to be respected in your home. You want to be respected in your workplace. You want to be respected in the community, because a man who is respected is a man who is held in honor. And when you disrespect a man, that's one thing. But a man who is in authority, like Nebuchadnezzar, when you disrespect, rage and fury and wrath and anger are the words, are the emotion that you feel. So we men have to be careful, because it is easy to lose ourselves when we feel disrespected and we lash out. And that's why there's a lot of abuse and domestic violence, especially, a man and his spouse, and even a man and his children. You disrespect a man and he's most likely to fly into a rage. So we men have to be on our guard. As we will see later on, we have to look at the triggers. What are some of the triggers that trigger us to get into that place of anger and rage and fury? And disrespect is one of the things. That's what happened with Nebuchadnezzar. So it fueled his anger. So as I am saying tonight, Anger is a secondary emotion. It happens because of something else, because you feel something else. In this case, disrespected. We only have a few more minutes, but I want to read one more verse of scripture. 2 Kings chapter 5, verses 9 to 12. 2 Kings chapter 5, verses 9 to 12. Could we read that quickly? We're almost out of time. Yes.
Are you hearing me, Dr. Richard? Clearly?
Yeah, go ahead. Something
Okay,
kind of
because
far, but
okay, I'll hit that on. 9 to 12. Okay, I'm reading from the contemporary. Naaman left with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent someone outside to say to him, "Go wash 7 times in the Jordan River, then you'll be completely cured." But Naaman stormed off, grumbling, "Why couldn't he come out and talk to me? I thought for sure he would stand in front of me and pray to the Lord his God, then wave his hand over my skin and cure me. What about the Abana River or the Pharpar River? Those rivers in Damascus are just as good as any river in Israel. I could have washed in them and be cured."
thank you. So he turned away. So he turned away and went away in anger, in rage. What fueled his anger here? What do you think? But because of time, let me tell you what I'm thinking. It could be disrespect. He felt disrespected. But sometimes when we feel that we are not, hello?
Pride.
Pride, yes, pride could be a part of this. This could, you know, pride is one thing here as well. But sometimes when we feel we are not being treated fairly, we are not being treated the way we are supposed to be treated, we get angry. And sometimes it's just a perception. In his mind, this is now not how he was supposed to be treated. In his mind, he was supposed to be treated a particular way. And because of that, he was angry because he didn't get the kind of elevation and respect that he felt he needed. Now, of course, this was in his mind. And that's what happens a lot of times, and you know, with a lot of us, with anger. We feel, we go inside and you walk into a place, maybe a government office or some place, there are some places, I tell you, the service is so poor. And because we don't get the kind of service that we're supposed to get, we start to make noise and we carry on and we say all kind of things and we put them on Facebook and because we don't think that we're getting the kind of service that we're supposed to get, and that fuels our anger and our rage. And we have got to be careful. We are looking at the things that fuel anger, because if we know these things, we would know how to avoid them. And we're going to talk about later on how to avoid some of these things. Okay, but we're out of time for this. Yes.
It's what we're saying, service fuel or lack of service fueled his anger.
His perception, when he expected a particular thing, and because he didn't get what he expected. And it's the same thing when we go into a place, and sometimes we are right, you know, it's not that we are not supposed to be angry or upset or disappointed, but it fuels some of us get to a place where we are angry, we're really, really angry. Let me just give you a quick example. I told you this, Pastor Nicole, I was sharing with you. I went the other morning, I went to a place to get gas, put gas in the car. I asked for a certain amount of gas. And I paid for it, the quick shop. I went inside and I paid for it. When I went back outside to pump gas, was waiting and nothing happened. I went inside and the lady is there, she's talking. She's talking to somebody because her headset is in her ear. And she's talking and talking. So I got her attention and I told her, you know, something is wrong. I'm not getting the gas. So she did whatever she had to do. And she said, go ahead now. Went back outside now and it starts to full. And I'm filling up with gas. It went past the amount I paid for. It went past the amount and I had to end up stopping it because I hadn't paid for all of that. go on my way, jump in the car and go. But I went back inside to let her know if something went wrong. You know, you gave me too much gas. I didn't even know that could happen. And she's there on her phone and still talking. And I'm saying, but I don't understand that. And then when I finally get her attention and tell her what happened, she says to me, well, you gotta pay the rest. Just like that, not, oh, I'm sorry, sir, and we made a mistake, and thank you for coming back and tell me. None of that, you know, well, you gotta pay the difference. Now that could have got me in a rage, that could have got me angry. I could have just walked away there and said, well, that's your business. But I didn't. All right. And sometimes people do things. Sometimes you are in the right, you know. And yeah, you can get upset, you can get angry. But you see, when you get in a rage, sometimes you do and say things that you're not supposed to. And you know, and you sometimes you spoil a testimony. We're gonna look at that coming up another time. So I'm saying sometimes where we are not treated the way we ought to be treated, that is one of the things that fuels anger or causes us to be angry. So I'm sorry we've gone over the time by 2 minutes. Let me just close up here and say thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow, God's willing, at the same time. We start, Zoom is open from 7 o'clock, and you can come on from 7, enjoy the ambience of the worship, and get ready for, you know, the ministry that starts an hour later. God bless you.